Welcome to my channel, Purposeful Play, where I talk about all things early childhood education. I'm Danielle and I teach 4K in Wisconsin. And this is our last week of the tree study, week number 5. And this week I'm going to tell you what we did. And our focus question was, what can we do with parts of trees? So let's get started. All right, on Monday for our whole group meeting, we had the question of the day, which is this made from a tree? And I got up and I held up my chair. And so we talked about the wood and that wood comes from a tree. Our movement, I actually brought out my guitar, which kind of made us also talk about my guitar and whether it was made from a tree or not. And I played it fast and I played it slow, and the kids had to move their bodies fast and slow. And then of course when I stopped, then they had to freeze. Before we read our story, we made a list of all the things that we thought of that were made from trees. So we kind of made a long list, and then we read a book, A Tree is For. And then in this book, it did share with us, all kinds of things that come from trees or are made from trees. And the kids were kind of surprised at a few things too that were made from trees. So then we added, after we read this, then we added to our list of things that we knew that were made from trees. And then we sang our goodbye song. So that was our meeting on Monday. For our small group, I had a pile of stuff. So the kids brought their little chalkboards, and I would hold something up. They kind of take turns, like, what is this? And is it made from a tree? Like, does it come from a tree? So I had a wooden spoon, and if it was made from a tree, then they put a little tally mark on their chalkboard. And if it wasn't, then we didn't put any tally marks. I had a wooden spoon, and then I had like a regular metal spoon, and a pen, like a wood pencil and a clicking pencil. And then at the end, everybody counted up their tally marks. We would wrote the number on our board. And that was what Monday's small group was. Oh, another thing that we talked about was the vocabulary living and non-living things. So the trees are living, but once they're cut down, then they're no longer living. Their seesaw activities was our second step lesson this week. Was we feel feelings in our bodies. And the other seesaw activity was go on a wood hunt. They were gonna look around their home, find some items that were made out of wood, and then they had to sort them and categorize them, sort and classify them, if they could do it one way, and then see if they could do it another way. Their play and choice time activities that day. There was a mindful moment yoga where I actually did some core strengthening stuff, and I talked about their core and why it was important to have a strong core. There was a photo scavenger hunt. They were going to take a picture of objects of every color of the rainbow, play a game of rock, paper, scissors, or many games of rock, paper, scissors, and what could you use that game for, kind of helping to solve problems. And then the other one was play a game of 1, 2, 3, what do I see? So they picked a handful of objects and laid them out. And it's kind of like I spy, but we were trying to do it with 1, 2, 3, what do I see? I see a, and maybe it's a fork. So working on that first letter, that initial sound of an object. Those were our seesaw activities for Monday. All right, on day 2, Tuesday, for our morning meeting, our question was, is your home made of wood? There were a lot of kids that said no, and so we talked about, the things that were behind their walls, even though they couldn't see wood on the outside, what was actually the structure of their home. And then we played a game of freeze, which was similar to the moving fast, moving slow, but the music was playing and then you had to freeze. And then the music was playing and then you had to freeze. So it was a dancing, freeze. Dancing, freeze. Our reading was The Three Little Pigs. This is a version that is from our curriculum, the Teaching Strategies curriculum. And we talked about, have you read this book before? And then a lot of kids had already heard this story. So we talked about what the pigs, materials the pigs use to build their homes. And then after we read it, we talked about why a pig might use bricks, or why would a pig use, I guess not really a pig, people too, use wood to build their home. And of course it's stronger. So that was our morning meeting. And then our seesaw activities we had, so at the end of last week, I asked families if they, there was anybody that they knew that made things out of wood, had woodworking tools, did they have any instruments that were made of wood? And I was surprised, I got a lot of people who volunteered to make little videos. So we had our guest, we called them our expert, a tree expert, that her mom's dad, so the little girl's grandfather, had made a whole bunch of things out of wood, and so they did a video and shared them. And then they also had pictures of a tree house and a bunk bed, and then the kids responded to that on their seesaw assignment. What did you learn? What did you like? And then the other one was a more and fewer activity with counting tree objects. And then the seesaw choices that day, there was a song, a movement. Johnny plays with one. Johnny works with one hammer, one hammer, one hammer. That was the movement. The other one was go for a walk and look for things that were made of wood in the neighborhood, and taking their chalkboard with them and doing a tally, because we were working on and learning about tally marks and how you can keep track of what you're counting. The other activity was make a blanket or pillow fort and pretend you're one of the three little pigs. And then the last one was make a tower or a house or whatever you can using whatever you have around your home, and try to blow over your structure like the big bad wolf. So that was our seesaw activities on Tuesday. Our small group on Tuesday, what did I do on Tuesday? Oh, I needed some documentation. So we played a game that I've done before, just with these letters, and I lay out, sometimes depending on the group, 4 or 5, and I put them on under my document camera, and I say, okay, what's missing? And so before we even play the game, I lay them out and I ask them, okay, let's figure out what these letters are. And then we all say the letters, and then I take one away or 2 away, and they have to tell me which one is missing as I'm jotting down my documentation, seeing if they can recognize the numbers. And that was Tuesday. On Wednesday, which is our no Zoom days, the seesaw activities, one of them was a video that another teacher made that we're working with. She made a video about all the things that we have learned during this whole study, and the students were asked to draw a picture of either something they learned, their favorite part of our tree study, and have somebody, or they can just write down what the picture's about, because we used that for our book. We created a class book with those pictures that we read on Friday today. And then the other one was another expert video. It was a dad who took us out to his woodworking shop and shared all of his tools with us. And he even kind of showed that the building was made out of wood. It was really good. And then the kids responded to that one. And then the read aloud was a book. I gotta look back and I can't remember what the book was called. Be a Friend to Trees. And it was one that we found on YouTube. I'll link it down below just so you can see what that book that was about. We're kind of trying to move towards our next study and planting that seed about how we can be kind to trees and take care of our trees, because next week we're starting reduce, reuse, recycle. So making sure that we have trees around because of all the wonderful things that they do for us. And then our choice activities for that day. There was play, freeze, dance. So playing music and then freezing. Playing an I Spy with My Little Eye game, but looking for objects that are made out of wood. And then make a tree from your favorite season using paper. So tearing, cutting, that kind of stuff. And then the mindful moment was an on-off one, which is like a yoga flow. And that was Wednesday. Gosh, that was a fast week. So on Thursday, our large group, the question was, do you like this wooden instrument? And I held up my guitar. And because we have to have a yes/no question, I don't know, sometimes the questions are not super great, but we make do with it. We played a movement game of spinning, 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 stop. And it was again another freeze kind of dance. And then we were gonna read A Tree Named Steve again and then talk about what the tree Steve gave to his family. But we ended up, you got to be flexible when you're teaching, well, I was going to say 4-year-olds, but really teaching any age. The kids brought musical instruments to the meeting, and so we had so many kids that wanted to share them. And because we were talking about instruments made out of wood that day, it was just a big sharing time, and it ended up being a really, really great meeting. Probably one of my favorites this week. And our seesaw activities, one was an expert. It actually ended up being 3 experts who played musical instruments and responding to those. The other one was we feel feelings in our bodies, a second step lesson. I think the feeling was worried this week. And then their play and choice time activities. I have to actually scroll back. I have my computer in front of me so I can scroll back and tell you all the things that we did. One of them was a mindful moment, yoga, again, working on your core. It was a different one from that I did on Monday. The other one was find something in your home that you can use for an instrument and sing your favorite song or have a marching parade. The other one was play a game of freeze tag, tree style. So you stop and do the tree pose. And then when you get tagged, you must stand in tree pose for 5 seconds. And then the other one was make a movement pattern, an AB, AABB pattern, and then have someone follow along with your pattern. That was Thursday. And then Friday, which was today, turned out to be just a fantastic day. Our large group was a celebration. So the question was, did you like learning about trees? And there were actually a couple kids that said no, which is okay. It is what it is. Our movement was the Icky Sticky Bubblegum song. Icky Sticky 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 Bubblegum, Bubblegum, Bubblegum. Icky Sticky 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 Bubblegum. Makes my hands stick to my... And then I ask kids for input, your head, and I pull, and I pull, and I pull them off, and then you start again. And then we read our book that we made. So I just took their seesaw responses and printed them off, and I just read a book, and I made a big deal about them being authors and illustrators, and they loved it. And that was our meeting, our morning meeting. Our seesaw activities, one was making a decorations, also as another celebration for the end of our tree study, or a bird feeder, squirrel feeder kind of thing. And they came to our school and decorated a tree. So I showed them what I did and what they could potentially do. And I showed them where they can hang it. And they shared pictures of things that they made. And then some of them even took pictures of them hanging it on the tree. So that was nice. And then the kids were asked to retell the story of the 3 little pigs. And finally, the seesaw choice activities. There was a movement activity, a cuckoo kangaroo, one called Freeze, I think, B-R-R-R-R. I think that's what it's called, Freeze. It's a fun one. The other activity was a tally activity, and they looked at a book and used a piece of paper and they tallied up letters or words. They could pick any word and they just tallied up those ones that they found. And then they had to tell if it was more, which one had the most, which one had the least. One of the other activities was fill the sink with bubbly water and grab some scoops and spoons and funnels and play. And the last thing was use your fingers to show someone the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then can you show different ways to make the numbers? So 5, and then how else can you make 5? Oh, it's 3 and 2. So just working on that. And that was it. That was our week. We're done with the tree study. I'm really excited about moving on to our next study. And I guess I'll go ahead and share that one on here too, because it's good. It's a lot of fun. I like doing it. And hopefully you do too. Hopefully you like hearing it. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this one. Hit the subscribe button. I know I'm going to work on a video too about assessments and how you can collect data when you're observing kids during small group, large group, that kind of stuff. And I'll see you next time. Have a happy day.